Let's talk about labs being normal, having normal labs, and I'm going to specify with blood labs here today. And I'm actually going to show you some of my recent labs that I had done because I have a great example of this on myself. So I'm more than happy to be 100% transparent in this because I'm a human too, and I work on my health journey. I'm Dr. Beth Westy, women's health and hormone expert. And when we talk about things being normal versus functional, it's really essential that you're understanding the full difference in this. And so often gals will go in and say, I don't feel right. Something's off. And they get a lab run or something, and it's a very basic lab. It's not an extensive panel. And that one lab that they have run is quote unquote normal, right? I'm going to show you this with some of my personal numbers here overall. And you're like, I just don't understand. Here's the thing. When we talk about normal versus functional, as a functional medicine practitioner myself, I go off the functional numbers, right? Normal labs, they're based on an average. Right? They are based on a statistical average of people. Most people, when they get a lab run, they're not healthy. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting a lab run because you're like, something's wrong. I don't feel good, blah, blah, blah. And you have these certain markers of like, okay, this is kind of a wide normal range. Anything outside of that is like disease, right? Like it's bad. Like your body's not functioning at all or really in severe dysfunction. And you got to do a lot of stuff to bring it back in. But what happens in that wide range, if like you're in the middle, you don't just go to bed one day and wake up and you're like, oh, I have a normal level one day and it's way outside the next day, right? Like when we talk about iron deficiency, if you're anemic or things like that, and this is something I suffered with a lot for basically the first 20 years of my life until I went gluten-free. I was always anemic. My hemoglobin was constantly at like an 8 or a 9. No joke. Always. And that was my normal. And they were like, this is really low. I'm like, it's always like that. I don't know. It's fine. It wasn't fine. It wasn't fine, right? But that's what I was used to. That's what I knew. I didn't know better, right? I didn't know then what I know now. That's for dang sure. But I had no idea. And they were like, just eat more red meat and all these things. And I was like, I grew up on a goat farm. We ate like meat and potatoes and things like that all the time. Like I live in Minnesota, in case you can't tell by how I say goat. But when we look at a lot of these things and think about like, yeah, this is a big thing overall when we're looking at your ranges and saying, yeah, my levels were low. They weren't just like normal one day and not normal the next day. There's a variant here. And so often we are trying to seek help in that journey, in that downslide before we hit rock bottom with it, right? If by the time you get a lab run and the labs are way out of that normal range, it's a big problem, okay? It's a big problem. A functional range is a more narrow set of values. That's what it is. It's a narrower range and we're looking for optimal function. We're not just saying, oh, you're not in a diseased state. We're saying, okay, this is your actual best functioning self. Yes. Now, what things are we typically looking at when we're looking at the functional ranges? We're looking at markers for overall energy, overall metabolism, your nutrient values, and even hormones. This gives us early signs for detection. This gives us early values to look at. So again, let's talk about thyroid. I have a history of thyroid issues. And this is, postpartum specifically, I would have thyroid issues. And so I get a thyroid panel run. So this is my actual most recent updated thyroid panel. You can see my TSH, my free T3, my free T4 right here. My TSH, in case you're wondering, is a 2.08, which is an optimal range. The normal range that they have is 0.4 to 4.5, right? Just so you can see that here. Like I'm not making that up. Right? So I'm not just within range. So if someone was like a 3.6, that's elevated. That's on the higher side. That's not optimal. Is it within the normal range? Yes, but it's not within the functional range. You're inching towards a problem. How fast you get there is up to each individual person, right? And when we look at functional things, we're looking at, okay, you're on your way there. You're on that down slope there. What can we do to backtrack? That's what we're looking at overall. My T3 and my T4 are good. This is also real interesting. This is going to look really high, but this is actually way better than the last time I tested. My My antibodies, there's 2 different antibody numbers here, and one of them is normal, one of them is elevated. They both used to be crazy out of range. My one that's 76 right now, it used to be in the 400s, and then it was in the 200s. So we're working that back. Yes. But that's one of the common things that we test for when we look for a full panel for overall function, right? To make sure we're looking at preventing and in early stages of just some type of dysfunction overall. Okay. Vitamin D. This is another good example on here, right? And this is just, I got a CBC, a CMP, and I got my vitamin D levels checked. Okay, so you'll see a lot of like normal values here, and this is a perfect example when we talk about vitamin D. The range here is 30 to 100, right? 30 to 100. An optimal range that I think is good for vitamin D is at least 50, 50. Look what my level is. 33. Oh. Oh. Now, so I have to look at myself and say, well, have I been supplementing for it regularly recently? No, I'll be honest. And again, I live in Minnesota, and it has been a really rough winter and spring. Bad weather, and even days that were not terrible weather. Was it sunny enough to get outside? All that stuff? No. And the thing about vitamin D as well is that, again, vitamin D is technically a hormone. Your body can make it. I live in a climate where it's not feasible for me to get outside in the middle of the day and get regular sunshine. And genetically, I've had my genetics run, so I know genetically I'm prone to be more low in vitamin D. So it is helpful if I regularly supplement, and I hadn't been doing that. And so I was like, I just wonder what my levels are. Am I doing okay? No. Again, is it below range? No, but I'm at 33. The low end is 30. Whoopsie poopsie. Well, easy thing to fix though. Easy thing to work on. Of course, I know. Duh, I got to get on my vitamin D again and make sure I get more outside this summer if I can. Okay. But it also takes time to shift and change that level, right? This doesn't happen overnight. That's the other thing to keep in mind. We're looking at catching these things before they become a big issue, right? To have a level that's not functional, is it bad? Is my body breaking down? No, but I know that I could feel better, right? Vitamin D, especially for women with potential for osteoporosis, and that's something that I'm really focused on at this stage of my life. My grandmother, I know, had osteoporosis really bad. I know my mother has some bone loss, things like that. So I'm really focused on making sure, okay, I'm preventing bigger health issues down the road for myself. Vitamin D plays a role in that. My levels are not optimal. So I gotta get it into gear, and I gotta work on it, right? Those are the things that we're looking at when we're looking at functional levels. A lot of times people say, people take this way out of context, and come on, it's fine. You're within normal. It's fine. Is it though? Right? Is it? I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. I want my body to function at its best as much as it can. Right? So those are some of the things. Iron levels as well. That's another thing. And then again, we're looking at checking your hormones, estrogens, progesterones. I love me a Dutch test. Sorry, I have a hair. Love me a Dutch test. This is why, again, I love Dutch test so dang much that we look at your overall levels here for estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisols, nutrient levels, B vitamins. There's gut markers. There's neurotransmitter things. Again, to get there, when I see a range that's when I see a level that's out of range on a Dutch test, again, that has been a long time coming. It doesn't happen overnight. It's really tough to know that you are slowly creeping towards that out of range for normal, right? And you're like, yeah, you're not within functional, but you're not outside of normal. And you're like, oh, and there's so many women who exist in that awkward state, right? So let me just draw this really quick here. So if this is, no, let me do it just kidding. Hold on. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to color code it. If this is, right, normal, that normal here, that normal range all the way here, this, we are looking at, and again, this is just a visual. We are looking at the functional here. Here. This is the functional. Now, what is the big difference, right, with this right here? This space. This is where we're looking for those early signs of dysfunction. So this is for someone who's like, I feel like this is going on, or this is where I see women all the time with issues. They are eating healthy, eating super clean. I've cut out sugar. I stopped drinking wine. I'm exercising more regularly. I'm trying to work on my stress. I've set myself a new bedtime routine. I'm really trying to get better. And you're like, maybe I feel a little better, but there's something still really off. You're doing a lot of healthy lifestyle things, which is great, and that can help sometimes. But if it's not helping for you, and you're thinking, something's still wrong, I feel like I'm existing in this space here. What do? This is where Dutch test comes into play. This is where getting a Dutch test, identifying exactly what to target, and really supporting your system to move you back into those functional ranges can be so dang helpful overall. Now, again, Dutch is a urine test. I was referencing some blood labs, but it's the same thing when we're looking at any type of lab result overall. It's so difficult to exist in this awkward stage right here, the dysfunction stage. You're not outside of normal yet, but you're in that dysfunction stage where I don't feel right, something's off, but my labs are technically normal. Yikes. Taking a look, identifying exactly what's going on, which again, Dutch test. This is a great start. I mean, there are times where I will say, okay, well, let's do a Dutch test. It would be helpful to see a thyroid panel. It would be helpful to see a GI map, some of those things too, for sure, to get those ranges back within. Again, I just showed you my own blood labs. I just showed you my own results there on that. To say, hey, stop living in the dysfunction and being told that your labs are normal, so you should feel fine. You don't feel fine here, but it hasn't gotten bad enough to kick you outside that normal range yet. So that's what we work on. That's what we do. That's what functional medicine is all about. That is what working with your body looks like. So if this is you, make sure you are clicking the link below this video. Make sure you are asking other questions. Let me know if there is anything else that you need help with, because that's what I'm here for. That's what we do. Overall, we dive into this stuff and help your system function better so you feel better and you can live the life that you want to live without anything getting in the way. So let me know if you need anything else. You can always comment, with the question. If you're not comfortable doing that, don't hesitate to reach out and email me. I get emails from women all over the world every single day to answer some of these questions. So, all right, I'll chat with you later.